another biology online class. I hope all of you are thorough with the topics which we covered last class. We discussed 3 methods of asexual reproduction. That is, yes, first one fission, budding and fragmentation. We had also discussed an important topic. What was that? Yes, DNA copy. Today we will be discussing the next few methods of asexual reproduction. That is, next one, regeneration, spore formation and vegetative propagation. So today we will discuss the first method of asexual reproduction, that is regeneration. What is regeneration? It is the ability of an organism to develop the broken or damaged part. Now you will be thinking, then how will it become a method of reproduction? Actually, regeneration is the ability of an organism to develop damaged or broken part. However, certain multicellular organisms have the ability to develop a new organism from their broken body parts. That is why regeneration is also considered as a method of reproduction. We will now see how regeneration takes place in planaria. In planaria, it is a method of reproduction. So let us see how this planaria reproduces through regeneration. As you see the slide and watch the video, please take down the points. I won't be giving a separate note for all these topics. First method of asexual reproduction which we are going to discuss today is regeneration. It is the ability of an organism to repair broken or damaged part and replace the ones lost through accident. It is helpful in multiplication of some animals if they are broken or cut into pieces. For example, Hydra, Planaria, etc. In these organisms, when they are cut into pieces, some specialized cells that are present in the broken end of the organism have the ability to proliferate and multiply into many cells. These different cells undergo changes to form various cell types and tissues. All these changes occur in an organized sequence which is known as development. Although regeneration involves multiplication of cells, it cannot be equated to reproduction. This is because organisms generally do not depend on being cut or broken into pieces for reproduction. Here in this picture, you can see a parent planaria. The second one shows how this parent body is broken into pieces. You can see 3 fragments of planaria. Each of this piece develops the broken part and is developed into a whole organism. The shaded part, the third diagram is the broken pieces, and the unshaded part is the part which has been regenerated. So planaria is an example of an organism which reproduces through regeneration. Now through this video, you may be able to understand it clearly. We can now see how regeneration takes place in planaria. Planaria is amputated, that is cut into 2 pieces. The 2 head piece and the tail piece. This is the picture of day of amputation. Now you can see how the tail develops each day. Second day after amputation, you can see the tail part. This is the third day. You can see how slowly it develops. 3.5 days after amputation, the tail has started developing, tail part has started developing. The cells there proliferates and increases the cells. So it increases the size. Here you can see the head 5th day after amputation. The tail part has grown, the head. 7th day, you can see the organism is almost fully formed. Now the head part after amputation, you can see how it develops the tail part. Here the first day after amputation, the head part is developing. Second day you can see how it has developed. Now slowly third day, fourth day, and you can say fifth day after amputation, the tail part has almost developed, and seventh day after amputation, the organism has fully been developed. We can now see how two genetically identical planarias are formed. The next asexual method of reproduction which we will be discussing now is spore formation. Spores are actually asexual reproductive bodies. Certain simple multicellular organisms reproduce by forming spores on their body. These spores, if the conditions are favorable, they grow as a new individual. If the conditions are not favorable, they are protected by a protective coat which is called as cyst. So they remain alive inside the cyst during unfavorable condition, and when conditions become favorable, they break open and grow into a new individual. The advantage of reproduction through spores or reproducing through spores is that spores are produced in large numbers. Second, they can be transferred or moved to far places. Third, they can remain alive even if their conditions are unfavorable. They will be protected inside a cyst. The next method of asexual reproduction is spore formation. Spores are very minute unicellular asexual reproductive bodies which get dispersed and form new individuals on germination. For example, bacteria, fungi, algae, etc. If conditions are favorable, these spores when they fall on a suitable medium, they start germinating and forms a new individual. If conditions are not favorable, they produce a thick protective wall around it, which is called as cyst. Thick covering helps the spores to pass through unfavorable conditions of drought, high or low temperature. When conditions become favorable, they break open the cyst and they grow into a new individual. Spores are produced in large numbers, so even if few gets destroyed or damaged, there may be others which grow into new individuals. Now you can watch a video from which you will understand it clearly. Spore formation. The spores of Rhizopus, for example bread mold, are always present in the air. A bread piece left in the open soon develops grayish-white structures that contain thread-like structure called hyphae or sporangiophores. These are the aerial structures on which black blob-like structures called sporangium or spore sacs are formed. These blob-like structures contain cells or spores that reproduce and develop into new Rhizopus individuals. At maturity, the sporangium breaks up open and releases the spores. The spores are covered by thick wall that protect them until they come into contact with another moist surface and begin to grow into new mycelia. If the conditions are not favorable, they remain alive inside the cyst itself. The next method of asexual reproduction which we will be discussing now is vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation is a method of asexual reproduction in which new plants are produced from the vegetative parts of a plant, that is root, stem or leaves. The next method of asexual reproduction which we are going to discuss is vegetative propagation. It is the process of producing new plants from any vegetative part of a plant like root, stem or leaf. Roots, for example, sweet potato, dahlia, etc. Stems, tubers like potato, bulb, for example, onion, rhizome, for example, ginger, etc. Leaves, bryophyllum. The new plants produced are genetically identical to the original parent plant. Vegetative propagation is a common practice in horticulture for producing plants with particularly desirable characteristics. It can occur both naturally and artificially. Natural methods of vegetative propagation are through root, stem, and leaves. Artificial methods of vegetative propagation are, you may please note it, cutting, layering, and grafting. Hope it is clear. So when you see the slide, please note down the points in your notebook. Next, we'll see the advantages of vegetative propagation. First, it is cheaper, easier, and faster method. Next, better quality of plants with fruits and flowers having desirable characteristics such as size, taste, and aroma can be produced by this method. It is a method of multiplication of seedless plants like pineapple, banana, and sugarcane. So plants which are not able to produce seeds, this will be the only method by which they can propagate. Next, the plants raised by this method produce flowers and fruits faster than those produced from seeds. For example, potatoes may take 15 months to grow from seeds, but from tubers it can be raised in 3 months. Because potatoes all are biennials. It takes one first year it grows vegetatively and the second year it produces flowers. All the underground stems, for example, ginger, turmeric, potato, all these are biennials. Only second year they will produce flowers. So if we are going to reproduce these plants through seeds, it will take many months. So this is an example for that. Potato will take 15 months to grow from seeds. But if we are reproducing through by the help of eyes that is present in the tuber, that is on the potato, it can be raised in 3 months. Next, better traits or characteristics of the parent plant can be preserved. Hence, plants have the advantage of being more uniform and genetically similar to the parent stock. Suppose you have a plant which is of good variety. You want to produce the same type of plant more in number. You can take the vegetative part of that particular plant and reproduce. So vegetative method help us to produce more plants of the same kind. So these are some of the advantages of vegetative propagation. Some of the disadvantages are, you may note it as I tell you the points. Disadvantages of vegetative propagation. First, vegetative propagation induces or produce overcrowding and leads to severe competition for space and nutrients. Second, since no genetic variation occurs, very minute changes may occur due to the fault or the mistake that is happening in DNA copy. So, since there is no genetic variation, there is less adaptability to the newer environments. Only variations give them a quality to adapt to differences or the variations in the environment. Third, diseases of the parent plant gets transferred to the young plants. Diseases of the parent plant get transferred to the young plant. Fourth, neither new characters can be introduced nor undesirable characters can be eliminated. We cannot introduce any new characters, neither we can remove any undesirable characters. So these are the 4 points which are the disadvantages of vegetative propagation. natural vegetative propagation. In natural vegetative propagation, different parts of the plants like stem, root, leaf, and bud give rise to new plants under favorable conditions. Vegetative propagation by stem. Underground stems that are modified for storage of food have buds. New plants are developed from these buds. Modified stems like tuber, bulb, rhizome, and corm help the plant to multiply. For example, potato tuber. Potato is the best example of a tuber. The eyes or buds present on the tuber develop into new plants. Bulb. Bulb is a modified shoot that has very short stem and apical and axillary buds. Example, onion. These buds grow to form shoots. Onion and garlic are examples. Rhizome. In a rhizome, the stem is thick, fleshy, and has distinct nodes, internodes, and axillary buds. New branches develop from these buds, which later separate to form new plants. Ginger, turmeric, and lotus are examples. Corm. Corm is a condensed form of a rhizome and consists of a solid, fleshy underground stem bearing one or more buds. Some of these buds produce daughter corms which later grow into new plants. Colocasia is an example. Vegetative propagation by root. The roots also help in vegetative propagation. Sweet potato and dahlia give rise to new plants from their fleshy roots. Vegetative propagation by leaves. In plants like bryophyllum and begonia, buds are produced on leaf margins. These buds, after falling on the ground, grow into new plants. So with that, we have come to the end of the first part of the lesson, that is asexual reproduction in plants. So far we have discussed different methods of asexual reproduction, that is from first fission, budding, fragmentation, regeneration, spore formation and vegetative propagation. I hope you have understood the different methods of asexual reproduction. Please learn the topic thoroughly, and next class we will be discussing the second method, that is sexual reproduction in plants. So when we discuss that, you should have completed all the work related to the asexual reproduction. Don't keep any work pending. Hope you will study and complete all the work by next week. Thank you.